Well, NFL training camp is supposed to start in late July. It sounds like at least one of the familiar faces will not be in the same place as they were last season and will not be anywhere. A player planning on sitting out. We're talking about, from the Minnesota Vikings, the running back Dalvin Cook. If you saw this or not, maybe you did not. But if you didn't hear it, I'll fill you in. I'll give you the thumbnail version. So we have learned that Dalvin Cook is not planning on participating. He will not get a participation ribbon for team activities any longer until he receives a new contract. Now, Adam Schefter telling us that Dalvin Cook is out until he gets what he considers a, quote, reasonable, unquote, contract extension. He's not going to show up to work. So for the 40 million Americans who are out of work right now, Dalvin Cook has a job but has decided that he's not being paid enough. So he would like, during a global recession, to be paid more. Now, what does that mean? Cook wants to match, if not surpass, the $13 million per year that David Johnson got from Arizona in 2018. Now, there's another report that's making the rounds here that says that Dalvin Cook wants more than $16 million per year from Minnesota. Let me add this right now. I would also like $16 million a year from Fox Sports Radio. I am holding out to be paid $16 million a year. But anyway, so Dalvin Cook is entering the final season of his 4-year rookie deal. He's no longer a rookie, but he's still on the rookie contract that was collectively bargained between the union and the NFL. And he is scheduled to make just over $2 million in 2020. So let us discuss the question. If you were the Vikings, you are now in charge of the Minnesota Vikings front office, how would you handle Dalvin Cook? All right, here's what I would do. I would make alternative plans. I would wish him the best and hope that he finds that big pile of money and tell him he's a little late because somebody already found the money in the Rocky Mountains, but maybe you can find some more money, buried treasure somewhere, and knock yourself out. So I've got Craigslist, cottage cheese, and the subway station. And we will line all these things up and we'll knock them down. Now, to begin with, the Vikings, let me be clear, and I don't want to misspeak, and I know it's a weird time. It's early in the morning, late at night, depending on your mind and your body and all that stuff. The Vikings would be fools to cave in to Dalvin Cook at this point and give him a monster contract. The running back position is, say it with me now, replaceable. Right? Dalvin Cook is a good player. I'm not denying the fact that Dalvin Cook is a productive running back. The problem is he's a running back. He's not Captain America. And you got to have contingency plans in place. Now, right now, the Vikings already have that. They're in good shape at the running back position. They have Plan B. Running back out of Boise State named Alexander Madison. He is there, third-round pick out of Boise State. He is the next in line of succession at running back. And whoever steps into the Vikings and replaces Dalvin Cook, if he's going to hold out for more money, that would be what's known as a brass ring opportunity. And if it doesn't work out with this kid out of Boise State, then there's other options. Running backs, even good ones, are a dime a dozen. They are in the discount bin of the NFL. You can call up the Winnipeg Blue Bombers if you want, and you can find a running back who will be a serviceable running back. He won't be as good as Dalvin Cook, but you're not going to be that much worse at that position. And you put an ad on Craigslist if you want. I think that thing's still around, Craigslist. And you'll have a line around the building of people who will audition and work for peanuts to play running back in the NFL. Certainly $2 million is not peanuts. Now, furthermore, the other side here, because we like to play both sides of the aisle, to play devil's advocate, the fact that Dalvin Cook is demanding more money on the surface, you're like, all right, it's understandable. He had 1,600 total yards last season in Minnesota, and he had 13 touchdowns. Those are very solid numbers across the board. The clock is a ticking. Tick, 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 tick. The clock is a ticking on Dalvin Cook and all these running backs. They got to get paid sooner now, or else they're not going to get any money. They're an endangered species. So from the player's side, you understand it. They have an expiration date that is tattooed on them, which is much sooner than other players in the NFL. And here's the analogy. Think of running backs like if you went to the refrigerator and you grabbed some cottage cheese. Now, I don't like cottage cheese because cottage cheese is part of the ranch family, and I don't like cottage cheese, but some people love it. My wife likes cottage cheese. So you go and you get some cottage cheese out of the refrigerator, a little late-night snack. And what do? You open that up. It's been in there for a while. It's been in the back of the fridge. You open up the cottage cheese and you kind of check it. You're looking around. You're like, is there any fur in there? No, there's no fur in there. And then you do that, and then you do the smell test. You're like, let me smell that and see how that goes. That works the same way when deciding whether or not to pay a running back. And you gotta go by the use by date, right? The use by date matters. And these running backs are all on pitch counts. That's the way it is. And while a few running backs have messed with the time-space continuum, they are what's known as the exception to the rule. The exception does not make the rule. It is the exception to the rule. And after a running back gets a certain amount of carries, a certain amount of mileage, a certain age on the odometer, what happens? Listen, we all know what happens. I mean, we can all agree on this. You have to proceed at your own risk, right? You have to proceed at your own risk. That's how this works here. Running backs nearing the second contract in the last year or so have had this epiphany that they know if they don't get that next contract, even before the first one's up, that money is not going to be on the table. It's not going to be there. But we're talking about the Vikings and the situation with Dalvin Cook. And the last thing here. So as we have seen in recent years play out time and again, paying a running back, even when they look like a sure thing, paying them big money is a zero-sum game. Tailbacks, simply in the way the NFL set up today, are not worth the big bucks. It ain't the 1980s or the early 90s or the mid-90s. It's not. No matter how good you are, seldom do you get a consistent return on investment. You don't. And just look at recent history in the NFL. You have a collection of running backs who were highly decorated, who have become underachievers or has-beens in front of our eyes. Todd Gurley is trying to catch on with the Atlanta Falcons. He got a big deal from the LA Rams, and they went out and signed the Butterball Turkey on their road to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they were fine. Gurley was damaged goods then. Devontae Freeman, who's still available, running back, Falcons. He got paid. And Atlanta, how'd that work out for them? Hey, Le'Veon Bell held out, missed an entire season. He went to Crazy Town from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was riding jet skis with his banana hammock there in Miami, drinking cocktails. He came back, got his money a little bit with the Jets, not as much as he wanted, and he blew with the Jets. How about Melvin Gordon? He held out from the Chargers last year. And when he came back, he played like a pauper. And now he is on the Denver Broncos. He's their problem. We can go on and on, but you get the point. All right, these are examples. You say everyone's different. In those examples, the players got paid and the team got played. That's what happened. So look at this like, if you're the Vikings, my advice is this. My counsel is this. If you look at this like the subway station, not a Subway sandwich shop, a subway station. In most cities, I know New York and several other big cities, you go to a subway station, you enter through a turnstile. That's how you get on the subway, right? You have to slide your card, the turnstile opens up, you go through. That's how the Vikings should be at running back. They should have a revolving door at the running back position. This goes for every NFL team. When a halfback gets to the end of his rookie contract, he then becomes disposable, no matter how good, right? No matter how good. Another factor for Dalvin Cook, we talk about Todd Gurley, who's been dinged up, and some of these other running backs who've been hurt. Well, Dalvin Cook has only played 29 games in 3 seasons because of various injuries that have popped up for the Vikings. Using some Maller math, I believe that means he's missed 42% of available games for the Vikings since he was drafted. Now, when he's played, he's been mostly spectacular, but he hasn't been available. And keep in mind, this was as a young buck in the NFL, not as a grizzled veteran with all the wear and tear on the old body there. So again, just to recap, if you're the Vikings, you say, listen, Dalvin Cook, I understand you want more money. That's great. I hope you can get it. Go pound sand with a mallet. And then you play this other running back out of Boise State who you drafted in, I think, the third round a couple years ago. And then you're going to have to draft another running back because eventually, if this guy turns out to be good, you're going to have to replace him.